It is officially 1 a.m. on Saturday morning, and I fell asleep after work, and I was asleep for hours because I was exhausted, and I woke up at 11 p.m. and I felt really bad. Like, oh my gosh, I've slept the day away, and now my sleeping schedule is like thrown off entirely. So I'm like, well, the house is quiet. What to do? No better time than to read scriptures because the house is quiet and you're not going to get interrupted. And in this crazy world we live in, it's hard to feel a connection with God sometimes because we're pulled in 50 different directions. And so I'm like, what better time than to get all the scriptures and read? So I was like, okay, well, where am I going to read? And I flipped to the first book of the Bible, which is, of course, Genesis. And Genesis is famous, for those of you that don't get to scriptures too often. It's famous for the story of Adam and Eve, the beginning of the world when God created it. And you also hear the story of Noah and the ark. And you also hear the story of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And well, who is Abraham and Isaac and Jacob? And so basically, Abraham was really well known for making a covenant with God. And a covenant is a two-way promise between God and the individual. And Abraham is blessed with a choice posterity, meaning descendants, that in the end, his descendants are going to be the ones to receive the gospel of Jesus Christ. And through them, all the families of the earth will be blessed. And so you see Abraham, he has a son Isaac. Isaac has a son named Jacob. And there's a story in the latter part of the book of Genesis when Jacob is younger. And he is traveling. He gets to this place where there's this well, like in this desert area, right? There's some flocks of sheep. And there's this beautiful woman by the well. And her name's Rachel. And she is, for all intents and purposes, she's a model. Like, she is gorgeous. Not just pretty, she's like, wow. He decides, like, whoa, this is the girl that I'm going to marry. And so he talks to her dad named Laban. And Laban agrees that he can marry Rachel, but he's got to serve him for 7 years. So Jacob works for 7 years. On the wedding night, Laban gives Jacob his other daughter, Leah, and Leah is the older daughter of Laban. And in the morning, Jacob's like, whoa, 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 this is not Rachel. This is Leah. Where's Rachel? Did I not serve you, Laban, for 7 years for Rachel? And he's like, you deceived me. And so Laban's like, okay, just so you know, like in our culture, you don't marry the younger daughter before the older daughter. And so he's like, I will give you Rachel for reals now, but you got to serve me another 7 years. Like, if this happened in modern time, there would be so many lawsuits. Like, I would not have survived in this time period, like, for sure. But anyway, he agrees to it. He's like, all right, fine, another 7 years, but I'm getting Rachel for realsies. So basically, he serves another 7 years. They end up getting married. And so now Jacob has 2 wives, technically. Leah, the older daughter, and Rachel, the younger daughter. And there's a competition between them where Rachel is the favored wife. Like, even though she's like the second wife, she's the younger wife, like, he has always loved her. And between the 2 sisters, there's a competition about like who's going to give Jacob more kids. And Leah ends up giving him technically more. But Rachel is the favored one, which is interesting. And she only gives, I think, 2 kids in the end, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that one. And anyway, is these 12 kids that really is between the 2 wives. And back then they had like handmaids, which were like kind of like servants in a way, is what we could most correlate that to today. But the servants, like, if you were the servant of the first wife, whatever kids you had would kind of be included in the first wife's grouping of kids. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Very interesting, I mean. So, basically, each of those wives, Leah and Rachel, have like handmaid, and so they have kids, and so those kids are included in the 12 tribes of Israel, which is interesting. So, and that's kind of like the foundational, like, family where like everyone kind of comes through. So it was just like really interesting. I'm like, wow, the drama that happened back then. Like, I don't like drama, but it's interesting. I like reading about it. So that was in Genesis, and that covers a few different chapters towards the end of Genesis. But I just like, times were so different back then. Like, nowadays, you know, everyone just has one wife. I feel like I would definitely be the jealous type for sure. I'd be like, no, there's not going to be any other wives. Sorry, not happening. Like, just can't work. So I don't know how they survived back then, but they did somehow. And I'm grateful that in our day, like, we just do one husband and one wife. Like, nope, no other way is gonna work. So it was just interesting to go down that like rabbit hole and like read about that. I should like flip the scriptures open tomorrow. Like, where am I gonna read today? Chronicles. I know nothing about Chronicles. Anyway, we'll leave that book for another day. But it was really good to just feel like I kind of like was reminded of like this cool story, and yeah, I just want to encourage you to like open up the scriptures when you have a moment, and honestly, like, if you don't have like a physical copy of the Bible, you can find them online. Like, there's online versions, there's apps. I really need to get into the mode of like reading a verse a day, because I am sucky at that. Like, there are days where I don't even crack open the scriptures. I'm just like, we're gonna get to it, but it's, you know, I just it's a weakness. It's a weakness for sure. I guess that really boils down to like prioritizing what's really important. Do we want that connection with God? Of course we do. I mean, God's always going to be there, like, for us. Like, when we think about, like, when we talk to our earthly parents, like, they're always like a phone call away, or maybe they live close by. They're there and we can like see them. I wonder how it feels for a Heavenly Father who is always there for us, and sometimes we don't really do our part to connect with them. So I've got to do a little bit better, but hope all is well with you guys, and hope you learned something new today. Talk to you guys later. Bye.